I should be out of the way. Oops. Well, hello everybody. Thanks to Super Tiga once again for keeping my seat warm. So welcome to our webinar this afternoon. I'm sure if you've been here the last couple of weeks, you've been following my, I'd nearly called it a relationship with Super Tiga since I've been in this little room for the last number of weeks. But in any case, okay. Thanks, Tiga. Yes, thank you very much for joining us once again this afternoon. And this is a continuation of our series of webinars that we've had. If you've got questions, by the way, there's a Q&A tab at the bottom. Oh, and I'm sorry for those that don't know me. My name is Dion van Aert. I'm the marketing manager here at Solutions BT. We've had a number of questions from a couple of our customers and system integrators about, what training and we have available during this lockdown period. So I thought, as introduction, let me just show you what you do have available. So let me just get my screen sharing working over here. And I'm going to show you our website where you can find some information on training, some additional training available during this period of time. I hope you can see that. Mark, is that showing?
Yeah, that's sharing.
Okay. So if you go to our homepage, you'll see on our carousel there, we've got supporting your operational resilience during the COVID-19 period. And if you go in there, we've got some nice information there. So our previous webinars are all posted on there with some good training information. But in there, you'll find that we've really got two training options available for you. One is if you want to do your own training by yourself, you know, at your own pace, your own train at your own pace. We've got our e-learning training courses. And then if you rather want a more formal instructor-led training, we've also got our virtual training courses. So in our e-learning training courses, if you click on that, we do that in association with our partner, Viva, which is of course the makers of our Wonderware software and all of that. And you'll see there's over 300, well, there is 301 complementary courses available. And of course, if you're interested in the Wonderware stuff, you can just click there on all the Wonderware courses, and you can see there's a whole lot of courses available on alarming, on application server, on InTouch, you know, all the Wonderware kind of stuff is available there to you. The other option we've got available that I mentioned in there is also, of course, the our virtual training courses. Now, this is more your traditional training course, which is instructor-led. And the difference is really that instead of sitting in our classroom, you sit in a virtual classroom. We still provide you with the machines to work on. They're all cloud-based machines. And the trainer that's training you when you're doing all the labs, when you're doing all the exercises, can look over your shoulder virtually and help you out. And it's like you're sitting in the class. So there's a whole lot of these training courses available. So if you're interested in any one of them, please, Wonderware training, SciTech training, network training, InTouch, all of that is available to you to do. So please, if you've got any training needs, you've got time. I know a lot of people have got time over this period. It is all available to you. As I said, if you've got any questions during this session, the Q&A section is available there at the bottom of your screens. I want to introduce this afternoon to you Mark Seed, one of our senior technical consultants. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon. Not quite senior yet, Dion. Just technical consultant.
You've still got to lose some hair to get to that seniority point.
I have, yeah. I'm, you know, well, the world is trying.
Of course, in this session today, you're going to give us a little bit of training around InTouch Access Anywhere that we're following on from our previous sessions around how to get access to what's going on in the plant while not being or being remote from the plant at your home, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, how long have you been with Solutions PT?
I have been at Solutions PT for 8.5 years now, starting out doing support many years ago, and then sneaking over into application support, and then on into our projects and consultancy team. But I do spend a good amount of my time visiting sites and doing training as well.
Well, you can see, going with my superhero theme, because I'm sitting in my daughter's room and she just loves superheroes. I've got my Batman t-shirt on. What have you got on, Mark?
Me, I have math jokes. So if I...
Oh, you're revealing stuff to us.
Don't get too excited, everyone.
Okay, just show that again, because if anybody can, if you can decipher this, please share it with us in the chat or the Q&A at the bottom, and we might have a little surprise for you. Okay, thanks, Mark.
What do you like, Dion? What do you like?
Okay, so we're talking about InTouch Access Anywhere today, and in previous ones we were talking about, you know, getting data from the factory or from the plant floor to your house, and we discussed all our cloud solutions and this, but we're talking about something a little bit different today, Mark.
Yeah, So InTouch Access Anywhere isn't just about the data. What it will let you do is bring full SCADA functionality from the plant floor to, I'll go with any device, almost any device, via an HTML5 compliant browser. So anything with Firefox, Chrome, Safari, dare I say Internet Explorer, would be able to access a full-blown InTouch application.
Okay, that means you can be on your iPad, open up Safari, you can get access to your full, and it's the full InTouch experience we're talking about. So it's like bringing that operator screen to wherever you are.
Yeah, it's the full InTouch experience. So you can interact with alarms, you can navigate around the application, you could change set points, whatever you want to do, you can bring all of that experience, all of that interaction into the application, and there are all of the underlying logic behind the application will continue to work because it's running it is the full application running, not a stripped down version, or not just new graphics based on the data. So
it means the full application that you have. So it's not a redevelopment. It's not a redevelopment of your application. It's merely extending that application to wherever you are.
Yeah, that's right. So if you've got an application already running, there is no redesign required.
And since when has this been available for your InTouch?
So InTouch Access Anywhere has been around since, I think, 2014 was the first version. It's been around a while.
So most of our customers should actually have this capability already.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who is running a remote desktop services environment for their InTouch applications already has, all but 5 minutes of the work required to get this up and running.
Okay. What is typical architectures of this look like?
So let me share my screen for that one, Dion. So that, you see that now, Dion?
I can see that, thanks.
Okay, so this is the simple architecture, which you would have an InTouch Access Anywhere server, which would be a remote desktop service machine in your environment, and it would be facing either your business network or slightly less likely the internet. Then any user who's on that network can use their browser to connect across to the system and log in and run InTouch. Now, the typical case there is most people would be able to, well, like I am now, hop on a VPN, connect to their company network, and then they'd be able to access the InTouch Access Anywhere server.
But if I understand right, it also does not, you are able to access it directly if you've got an internet-facing server.
Yes, so there is a slightly more complicated, actually, complicated is the wrong word. There is an architecture which we can, and there we go. So if you have don't have direct access to your SCADA network, which is not uncommon, then we have this guy called the InTouch Access Anywhere Secure Gateway. And typically this guy would sit within a DMZ, and users, instead of connecting from their systems straight to the SCADA network, they'd handle they have a connection to the gateway, and the gateway would handle the connection to the InTouch Access Anywhere server. And that way there's no direct access needed from the business network to the SCADA network. There is also the case where this ITA gateway can be made internet facing. So users, we've got customers who have, they can log into their web page from any device that's on the internet, put in their credentials, and it will let them log in, so without the extra VPN setup. And we also have the option of this authentication server. So if you're logging in to an internet-facing device, you're not going to be putting in domain credentials straight away. And what this does is, when you do pass it through domain credentials, rather than letting you through to the SCADA network, it checks them over here first. And if you don't have credentials, you don't even touch this server. So that would be effectively the more secure setup for external access.
Right, right.
If you're just on one network, you're perfectly safe to to use the simpler architecture.
Right, right. So you said it was fairly easy to configure? What was normally the steps that one goes through
Okay.
when you decide you want to do this?
So I've got a machine down here. Now this machine already has InTouch Access Anywhere installed, but I'll show you the options you'd need during the installation. We launched the system platform installation media. Now, if I'm putting this onto an existing system, I'll already have, say, InTouch installed here, the runtime components, and I've got window viewer running somewhere. Let me just log out my test user that was making sure everything worked earlier. Come on, looks like Task Manager's giving us a moment. Okay, let me go to where that guy's logged in and log him off myself. So he is over here. So if I disconnect that user, spoiled my surprise there by having to show that machine.
Yeah, that's why you let the cat out of the bag there.
I did, yes. Right, okay. It looks like Task Manager's decided that it doesn't want to play ball there.
It always happens with a live demo.
Right, let's take a step back. Ah, that's why, because it was hiding behind there saying, don't log this user out, they might be busy. Okay, well, it's got as far as letting window viewer has stopped. Oh, there we go. So let's try again. So we come in here, we come to modify the installation. It won't complain about me having window viewer running. Now, this is an all-in-one machine, but when you come to add InTouch Access Anywhere functionality to your system, then you would tick this box here. And that is as complicated as the configuration gets.
So that's on your standard installation, your installation media that you get with your InTouch or your system platform.
Yeah. So so I'm using the System Platform 2017 Update 3 Service Pack 1 media, but this hasn't changed in a good long while. There is, at some versions, there are standalone installers available, but the latest version, you have to come straight to the CD.
Right, so you install it, and what do you do next?
You install it, and then, well, so this would be a next situation. There's no extra configuration options that I need to do while I'm in here. I don't need to run the Wonderware configurator, and if I want it to be, then that's ready. So let's show you that. So I'm using Chrome, and let's see. So what I need to do is I need to know the name of this machine, but this machine is SPT Demo VM1, and then I need to put in :88 because by default we're going to connect on port 8080. So I put that into my browser, and this is the InTouch Access Anywhere landing page. Now I'm just going to change a setting very quickly, and we will come back to it in a second because we're going to fix what's not right. So these credentials here, now these are Windows login credentials. So what this browser window is going to do is it's going to open up a remote desktop services, remote desktop connection to my remote desktop services machine, and then launch InTouch. So this is my list of InTouch applications down here. We hit connect, it logs that user into Windows. Now, if I come back to Task Manager, I can show you here that operator 2, that's the user that I just logged in. But this is it. This is now a fully functioning InTouch application. And it's got everything you'd expect. So it's got security. Now, this application uses standard InTouch security because it's a demo app and we like it to be transportable. But I now have a fully blown InTouch application running all of the functions. So I've logged in. I can navigate around between windows. If I've got trends set up, I can switch to my trends and display my trends. I don't think we have any alarms on this system, but I can connect to my alarms. I could view my historical alarms. Everything that you can do or that you would have access to in InTouch running on your thin clients on your factory floor, you have in InTouch Access Anywhere.
Right.
So the thing that I broke on purpose and want to fix. So I have a scroll bar on the side here, which you may find desirable or you may not. That's because the application is designed to run in 1920 by 1080. And because I'm opening it in a browser window, I don't have that much space. I've probably got 1920 by 960 or so, depending on what the start menu and the browser open up. So let's fix that. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to, oh, actually, let's do it properly. Otherwise, we'll just reconnect to the session. So let's log this user out and close the application. And then we'll disconnect the session. Okay, so you might want to have that have the InTouch application scale to the browser that you're using it, and because you also might be using them through different browsers. You know, you might have everyone on a 1920 by 1080 system on the factory floor or on the thin clients. You might be like me and have laptops that are running a weird resolution like 1600 by 900, or you might be using it on a mobile device which has very different resolutions. So if I click this button here, I can go to my display settings, and I can change how the application scales in the browser window. So if I change this to fit to browser window, then instead of putting the scroll bars on there, it'll fit to the browser window. So let's just make this a little bit more obvious. So I will, just to make sure, because I didn't log out this user, I just disconnected them. So let's kick them off before we log back in again.
And I'm assuming that what you say kicking off, that you can configure in your RDP settings.
Yeah, so by default, if you disconnect like that, it's like clicking the cross on here, and that user session stays logged in and running. There is a setting in your remote desktop services configuration that will say if a user's disconnected after 10 minutes, log them off. And you should configure that to stop people from leaving sessions open over and over again.
Right. If this user would, I assume if users would log back in with the same, they would start off where they ended off last.
Yeah, so if they just disconnected and then came back and reconnected, they didn't end up exactly where they were.
Right. Right. So there is a timeout like period.
Yeah, so if you had them log off, then they'd have to restart, window view would start up again, and it would open the home page.
Yeah.
Okay, so this time I've opened it in a window, and you can see with a little bit of scaling, because InTouch and scaling, but the application is now fitted to the browser window that I've opened. In order for this scaling to work, there is a setting within InTouch that you have to change. So I'd like to show you guys that as well. On your remote desktop services machine, if you open up InTouch Application Manager, that's this guy, and come up to the top and go to Tools, Node Properties, and we have this resolution tab. Now you have to have this convert to video screen resolution selected here, because what this is doing is telling window viewer you are allowed to change the resolution of this app when it's being launched. Because that's what's happening when you launch the application for the browser. Effectively, it's launching it in a resolution that's not the application's native resolution. You can see here my InTouch OEM demo application is made for a 1920 by 1080 screen, so I've got to allow it to scale unless I go full screen in the browser. This setting is a per user setting, so if you wanted to apply it to everybody, you'd have to have them all log in and change it, and it has to be done with elevated privilege. Now that's a little bit cumbersome, so there is an easier behind the scenes way to do it. And what we can do is we can use the file where these settings are stored. Now that's called the win.ini file, but we can move the lines in that file to every user. So the first thing we have to do is know where that file is. Now, if we go to our C drive and go to users, now the user that I'm logged into Windows, this session of Windows that we're looking at now is tech admin. Then we need this hidden folder called app data. Now, if you don't see app data, so if you're seeing this, make sure you come up to view and enable hidden items, and then you'll see app data. In the local folder and then the Wonderware folder, you can see the win.ini file. Now, these settings here are the settings that that resolution tab is interacting with. And what we can do is we can copy these settings and put them in the file of another user. So if I go back to users, I could go to operator 2, app data, local, Wonderware, and just drop them in there, paste them in there, and the next time that user logs in and starts InTouch, it will take those settings.
Mark, but that seems a bit, what if I've got like lots of users, now I've got to do it for everyone?
Okay, if you've got a lot of users, and they're already there, then you could use a script to copy the file into lots of places. And if you're going to be adding new users and you're quite dynamic, what I would do is modify the default user profile folder. So if we go back into users, we have this default here. Now, what this is when you first log into Windows, and it takes a while when you log into a computer for the first time, and you get all those messages saying, we're setting up your computer, this won't take long. One of the things that Windows is doing is it's copying the contents of this default profile folder into your own user profile folder. So each folder here is a user profile folder. And what we can do is we can come in here and we can create this Wonderware folder and this Win folder, this win.ini file in the user profile folder. Then whenever a new user logs in, it's going to get a copy of these settings so that we don't have to configure it. They're there the first time the user runs the application. This isn't a Wonderware specific trick. You can do this with anything you want to be in a default profile folder on a system. Bearing in mind that if you start putting very complicated things and files and scripts in here in this process, you might really slow down that first logon. So just use it for. I'll endorse using it for Wonderware, and be sensible if you use it for something else.
Yeah, the win.ini file is quite a small one, so
yeah, it's
little impact.
So I've shown you all this, but this is all on one machine. So I think it's a bit of a cheat if I don't prove connectivity from another machine. So let's go to that other one that you didn't see earlier, already connected and shown to be working. I've got Chrome on here, so that's it. No install this side, just Chrome. And the same thing. So we go to spt demo VM :8080. And that will take us to the landing page with the same options. And we put in the password, and it will log us in quite happily. I don't know if I changed the display settings for this user, Dion. We're going to find out. I did. Same again. I have my fully functioning InTouch application in my browser, this time on a remote computer. And as we alluded to at the start, this doesn't have to be a Windows operating system. iPads, Android tablets, all of those guys come with HTML5 compliant browsers built in, and that's all you need. The only difficulty, if you've got a lot of things that I say right click, then how you right click on a tablet will depend on the tablet itself rather than us. Right.
So I just want to make sure of that, Mark. So the second computer of yours, you only needed the Chrome browser.
Just the browser. That's all I installed.
Just the browser. You don't need any other sort. Do you need like do you add an add-in into your browser?
No, nothing like that. The browser out of the box. I downloaded this, installed Chrome, and I had to do nothing else except to read all of Google's license agreement and terms, which of course I did.
Okay, good. Good.
So, I mean, that's quite simple, very simple. I hope
I have a little bit of question now. You talked about security in the beginning. Is there some extra settings that one could do to, you know, enhance your?
Yes. So on our ITA service, I'm back on the remote desktop services machine here. And if I go to the start menu and in the InTouch folder, or the Wonderware folder, sorry, I have this InTouch Access Anywhere server configuration, and this gives you a few extra settings around the server. So you can see here how many, the general, you know, how many people are connected, when did you start the service, is it currently running, and I could stop it if I wanted, bearing in mind that would kick everybody off and stop new connections. You can have a look at the performance statistics, so you can see how much data is being sent and received and how much compression it's doing. If you want to change that port, so I'm communicating on 8080. Now, some of our customers have very specific requirements. You know, the port might already be in use. You could change the port that the InTouch Access Anywhere server is using. And then once you've restarted the service using this tab, you'd connect, you know, you'd type in your server name, then whatever you typed in here. Just make sure it's not in use by something else, and obviously you can get to it through the firewall. You can tell the system what you want it to do with compression. So by default, if you were looking around in those display settings that you saw on the client, you might have seen some more compression settings. Those are shown here, and I could tell the system to reduce the quality slightly, but it will be slightly more responsive and faster, or you could tell the system to do the highest quality possible and accept the slight performance hit. You know, your requirements might vary there, so, you know, use whatever works for your operators. We also have this option of dynamic compression, and that allows the software to look at what it's displaying on screen, and it does things like detects that there's text here, and it passes that through at a higher level of detail to make sure the text remains readable and it isn't obscured by any compression artifacts or anything like that. We have security settings, so we can, well, we can choose to override the encryption settings from Microsoft RDP, but by default inherits. So if you encrypt your RDP connections, they'll be encrypted, but you can tell the system, yes, encrypt the connections, please, and it always will. And we can also set up certificates. So sometimes when you navigate to a website, you'll get a message saying, oh, this certificate isn't trusted, don't go, it's not safe. You can give the InTouch Access Anywhere a trusted certificate that you've well, purchased from a certificate authority, and that will, you know, you can use that on multiple places, but that will, you know, essentially let your browser trust that that website certificate is valid, and stop people from getting that warning saying, hey, this isn't secure.
Right, so you covered with encryption, that kind of thing. People can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Intercept your stream, if I can call it that, and see what's going on in your plant.
Correct. Hopefully you never have to come in here, but if you for some reason need to send, have problems and need to send the logs, you can get the InTouch Access Anywhere server logs from here. Now you can either go view the current log, or you can have a look at the folder. You can also change the amount of debugging that's in the system and turn it to a debugging log. Hopefully you'll not be there, but if you are, then, you know, contact our support team. And then if you want to import and export your configuration settings between servers, you do that here. And we're not going to click on this advanced configuration button because that takes you to the registry editor to go tweaking around behind the scenes. And I try and avoid that where possible, messing around in the registry.
So, but if anybody needs support during this time, our support desk is open, it's normal. You can email us or phone us.
Yeah, so our support team are around from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening, and they are all working from home. It's a full telephone service, you know, what you'd be used to. You can also email them. Once again, the mailbox is monitored between 8 and 6. The email is support@solutionspt.com, and the phone number is 0161 495 4641, or put 00 +44 on it if you're one of our Irish customers. Not that I've given those phone numbers out a lot. I did say I used to be support.
Good. So lots of experience there, Mark.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to show everybody. I hope to illustrate how easy it is to get this up and running. Yes. There's one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is licensing. So InTouch Access Anywhere is an extension to remote desktop services technology, and it functions on the same licensing mechanism. Now, if you're on System Platform 2017 and later, all of your supervisory client licenses, that's the one that lets you run InTouch, are hosted on the server and function as a pool. And so you launch ITAA Connect and it grabs a license, and when you when you shut down the InTouch application, it will release the license. So if you're on 2017 and you've already got a remote desktop service environment, this really is an almost trivial setup. If you're on System Platform, or if you're on InTouch 2014 or 2, and you've already got remote desktop services, it's the same thing. Your licenses there are concurrent. So it's just a case of counting the number of licenses.
Right.
If you're on thick clients and not in a remote desktop service environment, and you're on 2014 or earlier, then you will need to pick up a couple of RDP licenses for this to work for you.
Okay. Well, if you've got any questions with regards to licensing, our sales team is also fully remote operating from home. So all of us, we all set up to support you, wherever you are. So just please drop us a line. And I see there's been an answer in the Q&A. Mark, I don't know if you can see the Q&A on your screen.
Nigel King, you are correct. That is what my t-shirt says, and it was delicious.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nigel. Okay, so great. Thanks, Mark. That was really insightful. I really enjoyed that. I used to be in support and consulting and that kind of thing as well, so refreshed my mind again a little bit about how you do all of this stuff. So just in summary, yes, if you want full access to your SCADA from wherever you are from home, InTouch Access Anywhere is really easy thing to use. And as I said, if you are just looking at the data, please go back to our homepage and you'll find there links to our previous webinars where we discussed our other cloud solutions that allow you to access the data directly from your plant floor. So I see there's no other questions in the questions. Of course, I see that on the other side in the chat, there was questions about the configurations and how can we get to it. Well, it's all in the documentation, but what we'll do is we'll make this webinar available as well for download. We'll send you the link to you as well. So all I can say is thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And Mark, thank you very much for your brilliant delivery of this training.
Well, thank you everybody for coming, and thank you, Deal.
I thought we were going to sing something together now, yeah, at the end.
No.
Okay.
No.
We're not going to do that. Okay.
No.
So this is now a weekly thing. It's now it's a weekly training session. Looks like this. So next week we're actually going to do something similar, but for SciTech. So all SciTech users out there, you'd be excited to know that next week we've got a little bit of SciTech training. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.